Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the SBDC webinar, How to Navigate Your Marketing Strategies During COVID-19. My name is Jordan. I'm the Marketing and Events Director for the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Champaign County EDC. And today we'll have speaker Scott Clanin from Clanin Marketing covering some tips to use for your marketing during this time. Just as a couple of side notes, you are welcome to submit questions to the chat box and we will go over them as time allows, either in between some slides or we'll cover them all at the end. You will also receive a recording of this webinar. So if there's anything Scott shares that you want to go back and listen to again, you can do that. And we will also send out the link where you can download the slide deck so you can refer to it that way too. So at this time, I will go ahead and hand it over to Scott and he will get started.
Perfect. Thanks, Jordan. And thank you for joining me this afternoon as we discuss some strategies to think about when it comes to marketing during COVID-19 and as you start planning for your reopening, which is hopefully very soon. So we had 60 plus people register for today's webinar. So just unfortunately, we can't do audio Q&A or questions. So please, like Jordan mentioned, please ask those in the little chat box below. She'll be monitoring that throughout the presentation, and then either chime in when appropriate or we'll save that at the end. Today's format, the webinar will be about 40 minutes long and we'll use the remaining time for questions and answers. All right, so we are going to share my screen and we'll get moving here. So 1 second.
One quick note too, as Scott's getting everything pulled up, if anyone has any ideas for other topics that we can cover during this time that you may be interested in, please feel free to submit those in the chat box as well, and we'll work on getting some of those additional webinars scheduled, or you're always welcome to email us at info@cusbdc.org as well.
Perfect, thank you, Jordan. And is everyone able to see my screen? Jordan, can you see my, the PowerPoint?
Yeah, we're good, Scott, we can see it.
Perfect. All right, so let's get started. How to navigate your marketing strategies during COVID-19. If you would like a PDF of today's presentation, you can go to our website at claninmarketing.com/workshops. At the top of the website there, you will see a link to download today's presentation. In addition, we're also giving away another one of our workshop decks. We'll talk about that here in a bit, but email marketing, something that I believe is very effective during this time. For those of you who don't know me, as Jordan mentioned, my name is Scott Clanin. I am the owner and president of Clanin Marketing. We're a full service marketing and design agency based in Champaign, Illinois. We offer a wide range of different marketing services from website design, branding, graphic design. We really specialize in digital marketing. In addition, I'm also a Google certified professional, just meaning I've taken one too many tests from Google on a variety of different products. So I'm specifically certified in a product called Google My Business, which we'll be talking about today, and Google Ads, specifically the Google Search Network. And we'll be talking about that today as well. Should you have any follow-up questions after the webinar today, do not hesitate to reach out to me, whether that be on Google or social media. A lot of times it's hard to connect with someone at Google or at Facebook at this time. So if you have any questions regarding best practices or what I should be doing or et cetera, feel free to call or email myself and my team. We're definitely here to help. So the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Champaign County EDC asked me to put together a quick webinar on kind of two parts: 5 things that your business you should be thinking about now, and 5 things to keep in mind when it comes to marketing messaging. Now, with any of our workshops, of course, I wish we could spend all day or all week talking about marketing strategies, but we just have about 40 minutes today. And again, with right now, 30 some people on the call and more will be jumping on. It's hard to come up with ideas that are going to touch on every single industry. So what we did, we came up with some high level ones that we think will really cover as many industries as possible. So again, try to think of creative ways that you can apply this into your own marketing strategies. So 5 things you should be doing right now. And we're going to go through each one of these, but optimizing your Google My Business listing, of course, optimizing and updating your website, which is extremely important, embracing email marketing, optimizing your social media accounts, and evaluating your SEO, standing for search engine optimization, and SEM, search engine marketing strategy. So let's dive through the first one together here. The first one, optimize your Google My Business listing. Some of you may have already heard of this. You've already updated it. You've taken care of it. Great. But for others, on the left-hand side of your screen, you see Logic Everyday Community. That's what you search for on Google. You'll see organic ranking. Anytime I mention organic today, I just mean non-paid. So you have the Logic website there, some sub pages, their Facebook page, their LinkedIn page, and then some videos. But what you see on the right-hand side of your Google results is what's called your Google My Business listing. This is something that you have access to on the back end. You can make updates, you can add photos, you can adjust hours and make posts, etc. On the right-hand side of your screen, you see the back end of your Google My Business listing. So this is the back end of ours for Clanin Marketing. You see the name, the company name at the top, address, and on the left you see your variety of tabs. So then you see info. This is where you're going to go in and update your hours, update special hours. If you're temporarily closed, this is where you're going to update all that information. So I want to spend a little bit of time on just the back end of that here. Let's first discuss hours. As I know, a lot of you have adjusted your hours. You're either temporarily closed, you're working reduced hours. So I want to go through what Google right now is recommending you do. So there's hours versus special hours just versus temporarily closed. On the far right-hand side of your screen, and this is a screenshot from our listing with that blue clock icon. You'll see Sunday through Saturday, Sunday and Saturday were closed, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. This was our standard hours. But below that, you see kind of this grayed out with the calendar icon next to it. This section is called special hours. So we know these are the dates that our office is going to be closed throughout 2020. So if someone does try to Google us on that day, it will mark our office as closed. So this is important to remember, not even during COVID-19, but just general best practices as we get through this. But what Google's recommending right now is if you are temporarily closed or if you have reduced hours here for the next few weeks, and I know it's a little hard to determine how long the stay-at-home order will last, but let's just say if you haven't updated already, I would recommend going into your special hours with this Google, this gray calendar, and adding in 2 weeks worth of what your new hours are. Now, if the stay-at-home order lasts for another half month or throughout May, then I would go up to, and this is what Google recommends as well, go up to your standard hours where this blue clock icon is, and then adjust all of your this kind of new normal, this new hours here next to the blue clock. It's going to take a little bit of time. Sometimes it's a couple hours, sometimes it's a day for Google to review this and approve this, but once approved, this is what publicly displays on your Google My Business listing. If unfortunately you have temporarily closed during this time, there's also a section on the back end of your Google My Business listing where it says close this business on Google. Mark temporarily closed, and you can mark that as temporarily closed, and of course as you open again you will be able to reopen the business. Second bullet point here, confirm contact information. We see this a lot with clients where, whether it be their website or social media accounts or their Google My Business listing, they set it and forget it, and it's not a crock pot. So you want to make sure that this information is updated. I know, my partner and I, we try to patronize a local business for food takeout a couple times a week. And so just last week, we were looking up some places on Google, looking at their Google My Business listing. And we clicked on a website button for one of the restaurants, and it was broken. And so, there's a lot of options, and we could have easily just, okay, let's just try somewhere else. But we were really determined to get takeout from this one restaurant. So then we had to go to Facebook, find their website link, and go from there. But not everyone is going to take that additional step. So just make sure all of your information, your phone number, your website, all of your contact information is up to date on your Google My Business listing. In addition, you also have what's called attributes on the back end of your Google listing. This is an example from Farron's that they've updated. So you can see the red check. They are not offering dine-in, as all the restaurants are now closed, but they are offering delivery and they are offering takeout. Attributes are not just for the food restaurant industry. If you're a veteran-owned business, a female-owned business, family-owned business, LGBT-friendly business, all those different things can be added to your attributes that helps with your search engine ranking over time. So again, make sure you have your hours updated, contact information updated, and making sure that you're updating your attributes as well. Similar to making a post in social media, you can also make a post on your Google My Business listing. And so this is a screenshot of this market here, and they've made a post due to COVID-19 where it closed to foot traffic, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a free way to push out content directly to Google. Again, go to the back end of your Google My Business listing, and you're going to see a section called Post. It's right above that blued out info. Again, that tab there on the left called Post, and you can make a post for just information that you want to share. If you have an upcoming event, upcoming live Facebook event or live webinar, you can post that in your Google My Business updates as well. Second thing here, turn on messaging if you are able to manage this. One of the things, and the common theme that you'll see throughout today's webinar when it comes through navigating your marketing strategies through COVID-19 is effective communication. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest theme that we're going to be talking about today. It's really important to make sure that customers can communicate with you on a variety of different means. And so people can communicate with you directly through your Google My Business listing. So you have to turn on that section on the back end of your Google My Business listing and make sure you download the Google My Business app. This is an app. I think it's a little blue building you'll see on the icon. App that you'll download from the App Store. Make sure you have your settings all set appropriately, and you'll get a push notification anytime someone is trying to communicate with your business directly from the Google My Business app. If your business is not verified, or if you have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to Google My Business, you can claim your business on Google. It's typically a mail verification to make sure that this is a legit business at an address. They'll send you a postcard in the mail after a week. You'll receive that, and you'll have a PIN number on it that you'll enter the PIN number, and then you can complete your verification. If you are a service-based business, meaning that maybe you are work from home and you don't take customers to your house, you're not meeting with customers at your house, you go directly to them, you're what's considered a service-based business, to where you can still verify your business on Google. A postcard is going to be sent to your home address, but when you mark yourself as a service-based business, your home address will be hidden from Google, and it will just show a radius of the area that you serve. Something else to note is that PO boxes are not accepted. So if you do have a PO box and you use it for your business, you cannot use that for verification purposes on Google. Number two, optimize and update your website. This is extremely important. I've been to many websites where I couldn't tell if they were still operating or if they were operating under special means, but it's really important to make sure, again, effective communication, that you're letting people know what's happening. So here at the top, announcement bars and pop-ups. So the screenshot at the top is our website. So we've added a little announcement bar there. COVID-19 business and marketing resources, learn more. We typically never put up an announcement bar. But in this case, we wanted to just make sure it was showing up on every single page so people can get directly to where they need to go and what they're looking for. Dick's Sporting Goods on the right-hand side, a pop-up there. Our friends at the Champaign Park District. Again, right when you go to their website, you see a nice pop-up letting people know, hey, this is what's happening now. Even when they click out of it, you can kind of see behind there that they have updated their banner. Again, with letting people know that, hey, we're closed until further notice. And then Farron's. I think Farron's has done a great example of they completely changed their entire website, their entire homepage landing page to where it's curbside only. Here's the address, here's the phone number to call if it's busy, here's this other phone number, hours, and see the menu. So some places are completely changing their website to really reflect this new time that we're living in. We've all thought about it, but blog section is an extremely important section to consider and maybe add to your website, as we now have more time to blog and share our expert opinions, which we'll be talking about during the marketing messaging section. FAQ section is a very important section for those of you who are getting bombarded with a lot of frequently asked questions. Consider putting up a new section on your website that has a nice list of FAQs that you can point people to, whether that be through a mass email or on a social media posts. Hey, frequently asked questions, visit this page to learn more. And the fourth one here, live chat options. I'm a huge advocate for live chatting. Again, another effective way to communicate with your audience. These are 3 options: Pure Chat, Facebook Messenger, which can actually be installed on your website, and live chat. These are all 3 good platforms to use for live chatting with your customers. You know, especially the younger generation, they're not ones to really pick up the phone and ask a question, or they don't want to wait around for an email response. This is a great way to communicate with a potential customer. I did the same. I did that yesterday with Xfinity. I couldn't get through anyone on the phone, and so in 10 minutes I was able to chat with someone, resolve my issue, and I'm on my way. So again, consider those options. I know Pure Chat is one that I used when I managed a marketing department before I started my agency. We had about 8 operators. Extremely easy to use. I think within 5 minutes of installing it, we had our first live chat come in. You can toggle yourself when you're available, when you're not available, very, very intuitive, very easy to use. Of course, consider gift cards or e-gift cards at this time, and make sure to update store / shopping policies and information. So if you're finding yourself, hey, let's make all these posts and on Facebook and update people with what's going on, make sure that's also reflected on your website. There's some people that don't have Facebook, they don't have social media accounts. So make sure you're covering your bases across all different platforms, and make sure that things are easy to find. I know a lot of businesses are offering gift cards at this time, and they say, hey, visit our website for more, but you have to take so many additional steps to get to where you want them to go. So make sure it's front and center right on the website if you are trying to promote gift cards or some sort of special offer at this time. Excuse me. Embrace email marketing. This is something that I'm a huge advocate of. And if you think about it, when it comes to digital marketing, if you're running a campaign, you have a start date and you have an end date. And when you're done spending money for that campaign, that's it, right? You're not reaching any new potential customers. Email marketing, you own that list, right? There's no cap of how many emails that you can acquire. You can tap into existing lists. I've been receiving a lot of emails from large brands and large companies I follow, but very few emails I've received are from local companies. And the ones that I have received, I think I received one from Black Dog and Hopscotch. I could tell they tapped into their point of sale system. So they were tapping into existing customers, and it was the first email that I've gotten from them in a long time. So it's a great time to tap into existing lists, circle back to people who've already patronized your business, and let them know what's going on. You can also grow your list with website sign-up forms and share forms and social media. So again, the screenshot there on the upper right, be the first to know, this is a little pop-up that comes up. You can add in your email, and they're now on your list. In addition, with platforms like MailChimp, you can create a form where someone can click the link, sign up, and they are now added onto your list, and you can share that on social media. So again, that costs, aside from your time, email marketing really costs you nothing. So it's a great platform to look into at this time as a low cost option. Consider email landing pages. This is a little hard to explain, but look at the example on the lower right-hand side, this kind of this free learn to launch guide that this company is giving away. This looks like it's actually on someone's website, right? It's mobile friendly. You can see what it looks like on a phone and what it looks like on a laptop device. But this is actually what's called an email landing page. You're not on someone's website. This is a special landing page that's created in an email platform. So it's great for those who maybe aren't tech savvy or don't really have a mobile friendly website, don't have a website, which I definitely recommend getting. But if you want people to, hey, download this or enter this for this contest or sign up here, maybe consider an email landing page. They click that link and then they go to a page that's just about that product, that service, what you're offering, and then you have your call to action. In this case, it's download the guide. So you can highlight products, offer a free download, or perhaps even hold a contest through email landing pages. And again, you'll see that if you go into like Constant Contact or MailChimp, you'll see that option in there. On our website, claninmarketing.com/workshops, we also are giving away our email marketing workshop deck. This was a workshop that was part of our marketing series. And again, I think it's really important to look at during this time because it's such an effective way to communicate with customers during this pandemic. So general best practices to send an email are Tuesdays and Thursdays between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Now, again, those were based on studies, of course, before the pandemic hit. But right now, those are the best dates and times to send an email. Add personalization and subject lines. Studies have shown that this helps increase overall open rates when you add someone's first name. And again, that is all done by the system that you're using. When you import people, import your contacts into your database, you have a column for first name, column for last name, and company, let's say. And when you add in or typing in your subject line, you can put in a code, and these platforms will tell you what code to put in. Hey, I want this to say this person's first name. Hey, please join us at blank, blank, blank. So again, add personalization when you can in subject lines, be descriptive, use emojis, but don't overdo it. Understand your CTAs. What CTAs are, this is your call to action. So what do you want people to do when they land, when they open your email, right? You don't want it confusing. You don't want it messy, a very clear call to action. A practice that we do all the time is resend emails to unopened contacts. This helps us increase our open rates by about 10 to sometimes 20% on top of what we received the first time. So these platforms have the ability for you to resend an email to those who didn't open it the first time. Average open rates across all industries are 20%. This seems low, but if you reach 20% open rate, that's a pretty good open rate. Anything above, keep on keeping on, but anything below 20%, if you're receiving an 8%, 12%, 15% open rate, consider the time of day you're sending it, the day of the week that you're sending it, and maybe try to rewrite your subject line. But again, really try to shoot for that 20% open rate. When we send out email and plus send the one that to the people that didn't open it the first time, sometimes we receive a 40 to 50% open rate. So it's really important to try to circle back to those who didn't open it the first time. Platforms to use, these are the two big ones, Constant Contact and MailChimp. MailChimp is the one that we use for our agency, and I really enjoy using it. It's very intuitive. Even on our website, it says sign up for our email list. It's all automatically connected. So I don't have to manually, or my team, we don't have to manually add in people as they type in their email. The system does it for us. So again, look into those two platforms as you're considering your email platform strategies. Number 4, optimizing your social media accounts. So no surprise, but social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they're seeing record number of people online now being active. And this makes sense, right? Because we're all at home, we're staring at the kids, or we're yelling at the kids, we're staring at the wall. We want to be online. So a lot of people are online, they're looking at content. So again, like everything else I've been talking about, make sure you have your contact information correct. Again, just last week, in addition to that Google My Business issue that we ran into, I went to an organization's, I think it was a nonprofit's Facebook page, and I found that they had a broken URL and they didn't even have their phone number listed. So again, make sure to have that contact information updated. Pin post to the top of the page. Some of you have already been doing this, which is great. You'll see the screenshot on the right-hand side, the Champaign County Economic Development Corporation with that little blue pen. When you pin something, you essentially pin it to the top of the page, meaning that no matter if you posted 5 more pieces of content after that, this pinned post will always show to the top. So you can see the EDC. This was a very important piece of content that they pushed out on the 19th about loans. So they want to make sure that this is the first thing people see when they go to their Facebook page. To pin it, you just click those 3 dots in the corner. A drop down will appear and you'll see pin, and you'll do the same thing to unpin that post as well. Post regular updates, be active on these pages. Again, I think Instagram alone saw a 20 to 30% increase in average daily users on that platform over the past couple of weeks. So make sure you are active and post to what's called stories. For those of you who are unfamiliar with stories, these are quick 24-hour pieces of content that you push to what's called a story that ends up going away after 24 hours. Again, it's on both Instagram and on Facebook, but you can see a screenshot here from Hopscotch. This is right before Easter. Hey, their new Easter menu is up and ready to go. Love this example from the Museum of the Grand Prairie. Hey, they were doing a live virtual tour. Join us tonight at 7. We're seeing a lot with our clients and just friends in the community that a lot of people are engaging and watching stories over regular organic posts. So it's extremely important to try to use this relatively new feature on this platform. Consider hosting online/live events. Like I mentioned, a lot of people, a lot of eyes are on social media right now. So what can you do to kind of help chime into the conversation? Museum of the Grand Prairie, they were doing a virtual tour, which was really fun through Zoom. And again, teasing that through their stories. And then Champaign Moms, again, partnering with other organizations to raise money. And then Sue Gray here with the United Way, reading a children's story, again, as families are looking for more activities to do at home and online. Like with the other items that I mentioned, embrace instant messaging. Make sure that you have logistics in place with you and your team to respond to messages coming into your platforms. Just yesterday, as we're admins on a lot of our clients' social media accounts, one of our clients is a dental practice. And I saw an alert come in saying, and it was from a patient, and they were experiencing some issues with a tooth. I think they either cracked a tooth or something, and it was an emergency, and they needed to see the doctor right away. Well, of course, the dental office is closed, and she sent this message directly to the dental practice's Facebook page. Well, in less than a minute, someone from the office was able to respond to that individual through Facebook and was able to set up a time for that individual to come in. Now, they have on their website an emergency line to call for emergencies with your teeth, but this person again reached out through Facebook. So it's so important to make sure that you have these systems in place, you have these alerts set up correctly to where you are alerted when someone is trying to communicate with you. And again, during these times, it's all about effective communication. The second one here, or the third one, excuse me, boosting posts. I've talked about this before in some other workshops, but it's important to, if you are able to spend some money, again, just with the record number of people, and I'm not sure if social media platforms will ever see the amount of people online as they are now, but if you are able to spend some money, consider boosting some of your posts. Facebook algorithms, the computer system that determines how content is shown to you on Facebook, has really changed over the years. And even though you may have 1,000 followers on Facebook, and when you post something, only maybe 20 people see it. So boosting it is going to help kind of get more eyes on your pieces of content. This screenshot here is under audiences. It's telling you, who do you want to see this post? Thinking about, okay, who's my targeted demographic? Who are my targeted audiences here? If you just want to target moms who live in Champaign County or live in Champaign County and 4 other counties who have kids between the ages of blank and blank, you can do that. And it's all in the targeting audience section there in that screenshot. And moving on to the last one here, number 5, evaluate SEO, search engine optimization, and SEM, search engine marketing strategies. So if you have made changes to your website, maybe you've added a new page, you've added new keywords or whatever it may be, you want to make sure that Google can read those. If you have some time, I would look into the tool called Google Search Console. This is a free tool from Google that provides a lot of good tips and tricks on ways for your website to show up higher in the search engines. In addition, you can also submit your sitemap, which is essentially the blueprint of your website. You can submit your sitemap to Google anytime you add new content. If I added a page to my website yesterday, a whole new page dedicated for COVID-19 resources, it does take time for Google to actually read those changes and see those changes and display those on Google search. So using the Google Search Console to submit your sitemap will help kind of speed that process up. In terms of SEO best practices, again, look up the Google Search Console. I know that Google also has I think it's called Google Skill Shop or Google Academy, that provides a lot of really good free resources for ways to get your website to show up higher on the search engines. But general best practices, make sure you're descriptive and what your pages are. Let's say if you added a new page, you want to make sure that the title of the page is very clear. This is called your meta title. So at the bottom there, you see Farron's, the Farron screenshot. Farron's Pub and Eatery, Champaign, that would be considered their meta title. And at the bottom, Farron's Pub and Eatery, curbside only. During the COVID-19, we were forced to operate by takeout only. So without even clicking their website, I can see within the meta description that their operations have changed and they are available for takeout. You have control over this on the back end of your website. Again, this is called your meta title and meta description. Make sure you're adding keywords into your into the new web page, and when you can, submit that sitemap to Google. In addition, consider, if you are able to spend money at this time, consider Google ad options. I know a lot of businesses have pivoted, they're changing operations. So the example here, personal training with Kenny W, book an online session today. So, you know, I work out twice a week with a trainer in Urbana, Illinois. But they've completely obviously changed their model to where now I'm doing FaceTime sessions with him in my basement twice a week. And so if someone is searching for, hey, I still want to try to stay in shape during this time, is there anyone offering personal training, virtual personal or online personal training? If someone was to search for online personal training sessions, there's a good chance this particular ad would show up. So if there's something that you still want to push out and promote during this time, now would be a good time. And I will say, I think it would be relatively cheap because a lot of people have paused their campaigns, so you don't have a whole lot of competition in terms of certain keywords that you're bidding on. With anything with digital, it's a CPC, meaning a cost per click campaign. So meaning that you only pay when someone actually clicks that ad, versus like a billboard campaign, or if you run an ad in a newspaper, you're paying up front for the impressions, the number of times people are going to see it. Whereas with digital marketing, Google ads, you pay when someone actually clicks it. It doesn't cost anything for the ad to just show, only when someone clicks it. All right, we're going to segue over to marketing messaging. 5 things to think about when it comes to marketing messaging. Of course, the first one, be people first, businesses second. So what do I mean by this? We all know that we're all struggling during this time. So really, again, be people first, businesses second. You know, can you discount some of your products or services? Help people for free whenever possible. Can you offer payment plans? Pivot to offering lower cost options to people who need it right now. Again, people first, businesses second. You don't want any retaliation. You don't want any bad PR during this. So again, just think people first, businesses second. Number 2, I think a lot of us have seen messages to where it's like, hey, we're here for you. But how? You know, how is this company here for me? If your product or service makes life easier during this time, let people know about it. But if it doesn't add direct value, specific value during COVID-19, you don't need to necessarily mention COVID-19 during your messaging. So one of the examples that I like is a vendor that we have called Displays to Go. And their subject line was the essentials to help keep you going. I love that. And they've completely reformatted their email to highlight products and services that really will help businesses keep going at this time. Crowd control barriers, window sign holders, we deliver signs, etc. Number 3, monitor your language and images to reflect people's state of mind. Look back to make sure you don't have any existing ads running right now that may feature a group of people together. Even over lunch, I was watching TV and there were still some commercials running of big brands, and they were out in the park and there's like 50 people around celebrating something. I'm just like, ooh, they shouldn't be doing that, right? Well, it's simply an old commercial, but they still are running it. So really monitor your language at this time and make sure that any images that you're using is a good reflection of what's on people's current state of mind. Number 4, share your expertise freely. Add value to the world. Share your thoughts and insights that maybe offer value to your audience. So example over here is the McGuire Home Collection, our friends and clients. They're great to work with. If you haven't followed them on social media, I definitely recommend following them. Interior design company, custom homes. They're launching into their own private label of home furnishings, doing some really cool stuff, plus flipping a home right outside of Champaign right now and kind of documenting that all on social media. But like a lot of us, we're all at home staring at the wall. And so, hey, what would that wall look like if I painted that, or if I got a new piece of art, or I should get some new furniture when all this is over? You know, they're offering, hey, send us a picture of your room, and we'll offer you some paint advice. Plus, here's a code for 30% off if you are looking to kind of redo maybe your home office. So great expertise there. Curtis Orchard, again, anyone that I would trust with an apple pie recipe would probably be Curtis Orchard. Like many businesses, you can't visit them at this time, but they've created this really fun little series where it's cooking with kids, and it's a way for them to provide expert information and provide just kind of a fun little segment for families and things that they can do with their kids at home. And people will remember these things. They will remember the name. And this is a great way for Curtis to stay in today's conversation with everything going on. And then I decided to blog. One night I was up kind of thinking what businesses should kind of be doing and thinking about after COVID-19. I was like, you know what, I have a little bit of time. Let me send out a little blog. Again, I'm not selling my services at all. I'm just providing, my expert opinion on what I think businesses should really keep in mind as reopening plans start happening. And these are all things that you can do as well. How can you offer value and insight to the world? I was on a call earlier this week, and even like a home inspection company was mentioning that they were sending out emails and videos of what people should be looking for when they are out and about kind of cleaning up the yard for spring, or in the basement kind of fiddling with something. What are some things that they should keep an eye on, or just kind of check and monitor as spring cleaning happens? So it's a great time to push out a video or push out a blog. As more people are online, it's a great way to share your expert opinion. And one of my favorite ones is what we're calling surprise and delight. These two examples are, of course, more of the food restaurant industry, but really any industry, any business can really surprise and delight current customers and potential customers. Our friends Clanin, Central Illinois Produce, did a great great product here where they were offering produce, either a fruit box or a vegetable box. And with Central Illinois Produce, it's a business-to-business model. So they only provide produce to restaurants or hospitals or commercial kitchens. You can't, as a consumer, you can't just order things directly from them. But now they've kind of flipped the script to where they're offering now these boxes filled with stuff at a reasonably good price. We just picked up some this morning, and it was amazing what was filled in the box. So it's a unique, creative way to kind of surprise people. Hey, now we're offering this for you. And it was, it was great. Industrial Donut, great local business. I will say probably donuts weren't the top of mind for a lot of us when all this started happening, but they created a unique, fun, kind of family-friendly package where it was these plain donuts, and you can get all these different toppings and sprinkles for $19.99, and people were loving this, right? It was a surprise and delight strategy. You can see the comments there on the right, genius. Again, with the delight strategy, you can see that they posted a video of the kids, hey, waving, thank you so much, we love this. That's the beauty of social media, and surprising and delighting your customers during this time and interacting with them throughout all these platforms. So that was about 35-40 minutes here, just a crash course, high level on just things that you should be thinking about when it comes to strategies as you work to navigate COVID-19. So at this time, we're going to segue over to Q&A, and I'll let kind of Jordan see if there's any good questions I can help answer.
It looks like right now we just have one. Oh, they're starting to roll in now. Someone said, how much should be invested in boosting? Oh, Scott, you're muted, sorry. There you go.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a really good question. Hang on one second here. All right, so the question was, how much should be invested in boosting?
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to say, it's really case by case. I know with boosting, you can spend as little as like $5 a day, We've seen some clients spend anywhere between $50 to $100 either per day or per week. It really depends on the results that you're seeing. And that's the beauty of digital, is that you can go back into your metrics and track. And if you're seeing really, really good results, maybe spend a little more. But something to think about is the structure of the post. If you post something organically, let's say you post something and you don't want to spend any money at all, but if you ask for people's opinion, hey, share a photo of this, or what do you think of this? The more people that interact with the post, the more comments, the more shares, the more likes, the higher the chance that Facebook's algorithms are going to show that to more people, and you don't have to spend any money. And so that's why sometimes you see on your Facebook wall a post from John Smith or some sort of page that you've never liked before, but one of your friends like it. Why are you seeing it? Well, Facebook thinks, hey, this is a really hot piece of content right now. It's very popular with people like you or your friends. It may be relevant to you, so we're going to show this to you as well. So think of that as you're posting some content. It doesn't all necessarily have to be paid, but the more engaging it is and the more engagement it receives, Facebook algorithms are going to push it out to more people.
Okay, someone else would like to know your thoughts on text message marketing.
Oh yeah, good one. I love text message marketing as long as there's a balance. There is a company here in Champaign that is doing text message marketing right now, but I'm almost getting a text message once a day, and that's a little too much, right? And you don't want to be a nuisance and annoying during this time. And when you send it too much, they start ignoring you, and you don't want your message ignored. So I love the idea. I don't have any good text messaging platforms off the top of my head. If someone does, feel free to chime in and maybe share your favorite text messaging platform. But again, it's another great way to communicate with people during this time. The more channels of communication that we can have with potential customers at this time, the better.
Okay, someone else says, another question in regards to boosting, how do you measure it? As in an ROI analytics, can you see the organic reach for boosting?
What was that? You can see the organic what now?
Can you see the organic reach when boosting?
Yes, you should be able to. On the back end of Facebook, there is a section called Insights, where you can see certain pieces of content, actually any piece of content that you've ever pushed out before, and you can see the measurement of how many people was reached organically and how many people it reached through the paid efforts. In terms of your ROI, that's always a little difficult to track. If you are selling something through your website, if your action is, hey, go to our website and buy this, or go to our website and contact us, or download this, and that's what you're measuring, the platform I would definitely recommend using is a platform called Google Analytics. It's a free program that you install onto your website, and it's going to track everything that you want to know about it. So if you're measuring ROI of, okay, tell me how many people came to my website who did this particular action, who made this purchase, and they came from this paid campaign on Facebook. If they've completed this action, you can set what's called a goal or a conversion rate on the back end of analytics, and that will help kind of bridge that ROI gap between both those platforms.
Okay, someone says, can you explain top fans?
Yeah, top fans. Top fans is a relatively new feature that recently came out on Facebook. I don't know exactly the measurement, but when you are a quote unquote top fan of a particular page, you do get this little crown or some sort of little icon next to your name, and it will say top fan. I think the measurement is that particular person has interacted a lot with your content. They're seeing it a lot. They have a lot of high impressions with your content. They've liked it, they've commented, they shared it on their own personal pages. So your top fans are almost like I don't want to say brand ambassadors, but in a way they somewhat are. They're just people who have interacted a lot with your individual page. And once you receive, there's some people out there that once they receive top fan notice or status, they kind of brag about it a little bit. So it's a relatively new feature. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly the measurements that Facebook is taking in to consideration to determine if someone's a top fan or not, but that's essentially what that is.
Okay, what are your thoughts on going live versus producing videos?
Oh yeah, great question. I like the idea of going live. I definitely recommend looking up on Facebook. Facebook has a section about best practices with going live. So I definitely recommend you looking into that. But I really like the idea of Facebook Live. I know there's some people who get very nervous about it, but there's nothing really to be nervous about. Facebook Live isn't meant to be super polished. It isn't meant to be scripted. It's meant to be raw and real and conversational with your customers and with your clients. And if it's something quick, if this is something that, hey, I just want to put out this message real quick and it's going to be under 2 minutes, I really wouldn't recommend going live. For that, I would then just recommend making a regular video and posting that to your page. The goal and the foundation of live is to have that conversation. So if you are going live for longer than 4, 5, 6 minutes, Facebook Live, I think, is a great platform to do that. Make sure though that you have, in a way, it's somewhat structured to where you know what you're talking about. Leave time for Q&A, but in case there aren't any questions or if people don't start chiming in ahead of time, you have kind of backup topics available that you can chat about. In addition, the big benefit of going live is letting people know ahead of time that you're going live. That's going to help really increase your overall number of people who are tuning in at a particular time.
Okay. The next question attendee says, I used Google Ads before and it seemed that I would get clicks, but the analytic tool would show completely out of my area, like overseas. How does one control this so you're not wasting clicks?
Read the first part of the question again.
Yeah, no problem. I've used Google Ads before and it seemed that I would get clicks, but the analytics tool showed that they were completely out of the area, like overseas. How do you control that so you're not wasting clicks?
You should, in the settings in Google Ads, you should be able to put a location barrier to where your ads are only going to be shown to people in that area. Now, I think with Google Ads, there's a couple different settings. It's either people who are currently living in that area, or it's people who are interested in something in that area. Let's say if I'm currently sitting in Peoria, Illinois, but I'm looking for homes in Champaign, Illinois, that would be a setting to where people who are interested in something in Champaign. But if I'm sitting in Champaign, I'm living in Champaign, and you only want your ads to be shown to people in Champaign County, you want to make sure that you set that location barrier. So that would be the first thing I would look at to see if that would help control where people are coming from, and so you're not wasting money on clicks outside of your targeted region.
Okay, great. Someone else asks, do you have any tips for small businesses wanting to start a Facebook group and using that as a marketing tool?
Yeah. Facebook groups have become extremely popular over the past just year. Actually, they've been around for some time, but it's a great way to kind of open the floor for conversation even between your customers, and it's a great way to pose questions. Very interactive. It's very personal as well. Whereas just a standard business page, sometimes the personality or the brand, it kind of gets lost, because with a business page on Facebook, it's sometimes very buttoned up and professional, whereas a group, it's very conversational. So I do recommend, if it makes sense, looking at Facebook groups. There's some great examples. Again, if you look up Facebook resources, there's some great examples online of how to utilize groups in a really, really good capacity. I would just make sure that with any group, you set a certain boundaries and certain rules that people have to adhere to be part of that group online.
Okay, One of our attendees would like to know if you have any different marketing suggestions or specific ideas for nonprofits during COVID.
Nonprofits during COVID. None off the top of my head. I mean, I think really with everyone right now, it's just making sure you're effectively communicating well. With other businesses, I know they're offering like gift cards and different things. With nonprofits, you might want to consider like donation requests if people are looking. What are some ways that other people can still be supporting your mission and your organization at this time? And I know it's a little hard, asking for money, but there are still people out there that are willing to still support. So I would look into maybe transitioning your page to where you can accept donations online as an option for people who are still looking to support your organization, and get creative. What are, looking back at some of those examples in the PowerPoint, what are some ways that you can still be part of today's conversation online, as more people are starting to chime in on Facebook and on Instagram. So unfortunately, I don't have a ton off the top of my head. With something like this, there's really, during a pandemic, there's no textbook to go off of. What we're doing right now, we're really writing the textbook for future pandemics. If, hopefully that never happens again, but we're writing the textbook for the future. So try different things, look at inspiration, look up case studies and blogs, and test and evaluate.
Okay, someone earlier when you were starting your presentation, Scott, mentioned, they just wanted to know, you had mentioned that they were going to have access to another slide deck. Will they be able to download that on your website as well?
Absolutely correct. Yep. On our website, claninmarketing.com/workshops, we have the COVID today's workshop deck, and then we also included our workshop deck for email marketing. And again, our email slide in today's presentation just had kind of high-level tidbits of things to consider when it comes to email strategies. But that specific email deck has a little more information to consider when evaluating your email marketing strategy.
All right, it looks like we've caught up on all of our questions, but we do have a few minutes left if anyone else has any they'd like to ask Scott before we wrap up. It looks like we have a hand raised. Ursula, if you could put your question in the chat, that would be great. We just have a few too many attendees to unmute you guys today. Or if you do have a very specific question that maybe we can answer for you, you can also email it to our info, and we can make sure that Scott gets access to that. That email address is info@cusbdc.org. Ursula, I'll have to ask Dawn Elmore, our advisor, that question. I'm not sure if the grant program through the city allows for that or not. So we'll follow up with you on that. Scott, someone would like to know if you have any thoughts about ramping back up. I would assume that means they're marketing, to full what they were doing prior to this, possibly.
Yeah, reopening strategies. It's actually something that's obviously been on my mind, in addition to probably everyone else's mind over the past couple of weeks. At this time, I don't have a ton of ideas on ramping up, because it's a little hard to kind of wrap my mind around how the country is going to open back up. I know yesterday was announced it could open back up in phases. So again, I personally myself, I'm monitoring this each and every day. I would be maybe open to perhaps another webinar or something about reopening strategies as we get closer to that time. But again, right now I think is just remember effective communication with your customers, letting them know what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of platforms like Google and Facebook and Instagram will be offering ad credits as reopening starts happening, to where you can apply a certain promo code or certain credits to campaigns to help push your content out there. But one of the biggest things is, as reopening happens, people will be bombarded with a lot of content, a lot of information. So you'll have to kind of start thinking of what's going to make your content stand out, and how can you create this kind of what we call thumb stopping content as people are scrolling through, what makes them drop their thumb and stop. I think it's going to be a combination of a lot of things, from email marketing to social media to traditional forms of marketing, but it's a little early to say at this time until we hear more about how the country will be opening back up.
Okay, and we've got one more question before we wrap up. Someone would like to know, for a service-based company that brings parties to people, what type of language would you recommend at this time to keep people thinking about you?
I'm sorry, you were cutting out at the end. Let me pull up the questions here.
I'm sorry. For service-based companies, what type of language would you recommend to keep people thinking about you?
Yeah, great question. Bringing parties to people. I would just let people know that your company is each and every day, of course, monitoring the situation, because it will be interesting to see, as the company opens up in phases, what regulations will be put into place. What's the number of people that can congregate again? I have no idea. And so you don't want to be premature and say, hey, we're still going to be here and our services will be available. Just keep really up to date with what's happening, and let people know, just positive vibes, I guess, to keep sending people. It's a little hard for me to at least answer that right now, just because, again, we're kind of just in unknown territory right now. But keep active on social media. Think of other ways to provide value right now. You bring parties to people now, but what are some things that maybe people can do with their families right now to host a party or a game night, or how can you still chime in today's conversation for brand awareness, and then circle back to them when the country does open back up.
Okay, it looks like that's all of our questions. So I just want to thank Scott for joining us today for this, and all of our attendees. Like I mentioned before we started, we will provide all the attendees with the recording to this webinar, along with that link that Scott mentioned a couple times, where you can visit their website to download the presentation. We did get a couple chat comments that a reopening webinar would be very useful when that time comes. So we will look at getting something along those lines scheduled, as we have a timeline of when that may be as we get closer to it. But like I said, if you have any other suggestions, you are welcome to email them to us. And if you have any questions for Scott that maybe were more specific or you didn't get to answer during the webinar, you can also send those our way and we will get them over to him.
Perfect. Well, Jordan, thank you very much for your assistance today in organizing this. And I want to thank everyone who was on the call. Definitely stay well and stay in touch with us as we really all navigate these unprecedented times together. So again, thank you very much for joining us, and have a nice weekend.
Bye, everybody.